The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, welcome to Catholic Chicago. I'm Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago. And see to my left, a dear friend, Mark Teresi, who's involved with our 175th anniversary at the cathedral, which becomes our 150th anniversary as a cathedral in November, 175 years as a parish, also involved with many other ministries. So good morning, Mark, how are you?
Good morning. Very
hold up that pen.
Very busy year. Two important dates today. I'm holding up a little pin. Where am I at? Here. And it says, happy birthday, Sister Jean, 106.
On August 21, today, 2025, born 106 years ago.
Sister Jean,
today.
Loyola University.
She's amazing.
Still wants to go to work.
She's just, yeah, they have to hold her back.
Yes, she's absolutely wonderful.
She's
and the
amazing.
second date, today, we're taping August 21st. It's 9 years ago today, you were installed as rector of Holy Name Cathedral.
As the 10th rector of Holy Name Cathedral, 9 years ago today. Has that flown by? And you've been
and you haven't aged a day. You've aged 9 years.
my brother says I've got wavy hair, it's waving goodbye. And the thing is, you have been at the cathedral, is it 8 years now?
Yeah, it's eight years.
But also we go back, in fact, folks know this, Mark and I go back to September of 1973. I was 20 years old in the college seminary, Niles College Seminary for Loyola University. Mark was an 18-year-old college freshman, so 2018. So we go back almost 52 years as dear friends. And ironically, Mark, over the years, the hand of God has brought us together
many times
to share ministry at the college seminary, at St. Mary of the Woods, at Holy Name Cathedral. It's the hand of God.
Yeah, we never dreamed that we'd be looking at 175th anniversary at Holy Name Cathedral, and you and I would be involved in that.
Together. We have a great program lined up this morning today. The Resurrection Project in Chicago builds relationships and challenges individuals to act on their faith and value to create healthier communities with focus on financial wellness, affordable housing, immigration, leadership development, and civic engagement. This summer saw the Resurrection Project involved in bringing street masses to some of Chicago's neighborhoods and work with interfaith partners. Joining us today is Father Brendan Curran with the Resurrection Project. Father Brendan Curran, welcome to the program this morning. How are you, Brendan?
It's an honor. Wonderful to join you. Good to see you again.
It's great to be with you. And to let our listeners know, you were ordained a Dominican priest back in 2001. You are Chicago born and raised. You were raised in Evergreen Park, Brother Rice High School, class of '88. And out of curiosity, what made you join the Dominican community coming out of Brother Rice?
Interesting, right? A little salute to the Irish Christian brothers, dear experiences and an amazing alumni community that we are proud to remember our roots from. Interesting that I'm Dominican, and I was studying at a Irish Christian brother high school. But what folks don't know is that I come from a family of Dominicans. My father, I'm a first-generation immigrant. My father came from a small village called Athenry, County Galway, Ireland. And my parents met in South Chicago, where they were part of a flat right across the street from St. Lawrence Church. And through many blessings, my upbringing in Evergreen Park also is a part of a family with my father's sisters, one Mercy sister and another a Dominican nun in Ireland. So I knew the Dominicans all my life, though the Chicago Dominicans I got to know when I was a young person. Some of our dear heart friends in Evergreen Park also have one of theirs as a Dominican priest, Ed Gorman, who went to Brother Rice. So we knew that Dominican circle for many years, who was quite a few years ahead of me, about 7, I want to guess, at Brother Rice. I kind of forget numbers at this time. But his sister went to school with my brother. You know how that goes. Everybody's brothers and sisters go to school together. And it's a small knit community in Chicago, as you all know very well. So I knew Dominicans all my life, got to know the Dominicans, amazed at Father Chuck Dom and other friars
Sure.
years. And I thought, I want to do some of that where you put your faith in action. I was just blessed. The Dominican sisters took me in as an apostolic volunteer after college. And I was so amazed at the sisters' amazing mission work in community, both urban and rural. And so many of you know their stories of their outreach and mission. They were encouraging me to be a part of this Dominican family of friar sisters, laity, and young adult leaders who form part of the Dominican mission and charism.
Now, what did that vocation journey look like for you? How did you know this was where you needed to
This is
be?
an excellent question. Some people get stunned by my answer because I thought when I went through grade school, I'm a proud son of Most Holy Redeemer Parish
Oh, yeah.
on 9th Street. Went to grade school there. When it was about 7th or 8th grade, some of the classmates, what do you want to do when you grow up? So someone was talking about one of my classmates, firefighter, another one, police officer, another one, teacher, another one to be doctor. And I thought, well, I don't want to tell everyone, but maybe I should be thinking about being a priest. Then I put it on hold through high school and came back to it as I finished college. And believe it or not, I studied outside of the Chicago area at Providence College, which happens to be a Dominican-sponsored university on the East Coast. And during college, back to the nudge, I don't have a serious reason to exclude a vocation. That was my logic. So I thought, well, let me explore it so that I do not regret later that I didn't follow up on my vocation. That was my processing. That was the way I processed it. It was by process of elimination, and it still was out there. And I thought, if I don't pursue to be sure that this isn't something I want to do, I thought I wouldn't want to regret later having not tried.
Yes.
That was the logic I took. I looked at religious orders. Some folks coached me. Among them, some of the folks in Chicago, with the diocese as well, my local parish priest, and then of course some of the friars and sisters. And basically through a process of elimination, this felt like a better fit. That's what brought me through it.
So
Very interesting process of elimination.
You just kind of trusted God. Now, just to switch gears for a moment, Brendan, we've heard about the Resurrection Project. What is the Resurrection Project, and when was it founded?
Wonderful. First of all, Resurrection Project is in its 35th anniversary year. So, great honor to be here at an anniversary moment. The Resurrection Project is a nonprofit organization that was actually founded by 6 parishes of Pilsen, 6 Catholic parishes of Pilsen, the pastors among them, Father Chuck Dom at St. Pius, Jim Kazarowski, and others, pastors in the area, counting 6, decided that as an individual parish, they were dealing with very similar crisis and challenges of their people, of their congregants, and they thought, why don't we invest in exploring avenues to accompaniment and impact on these social issues of our day? And so when I speak about social issues, addressing access to health, addressing respect and dignity for the immigrant, access to decent and affordable housing. These very basic values. And then, of course, street violence and other measures of making it a safer neighborhood. So they saw those 4 pillars and said, why don't we invest? So each parish put in $5,000, 35
Wow.
in a process that started 2 years before that, and invested in one organizer and tested it out. They already were collaborating on catechism across the parishes through a wonderful mix of ministers, through baptism and the sacramental prep programs, were all synchronized and worked through a process of collaboration. And they thought, why don't we do this effort collaboratively so that we make better impact as 6 rather than any one of us trying to do it alone. That's how Resurrection Project was launched. Their first organizer was a young Pilsen resident who went away to Carleton College, and his name, some of you can take a look at, is very familiar. Raul Raimundo was the new organizer they hired right out of college, and he happens to be remaining in leadership of the organization today, 35 years later.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's amazing.
Now, was Father Don Nevins involved in that? Do you know that name? Yeah. Now, and he's extremely, I would say, bilingual. You'd almost think he's Hispanic.
He's raised in Des Plaines too.
Yeah. And how involved are you in the Hispanic community? Do you focus in the Hispanic community? How does that work?
Wonderful question. So, as you would know, I grew up in Evergreen Park. I would know where to go to the bathroom. That's about it in Spanish. When I grew up. I like Mexican food. That's about it. But in going through the experience of formation in our tradition of the Dominicans, I recognized that numbers of candidates were from or originated from Latin America. And our novitiate house, which would be our first year orientation to our Dominican way of life, was situated in North Denver, because our grouping, our territory, you would say, would be the Midwest U.S., from the mountains of the Rockies over to Indiana, and then Canada down to Missouri. And what I recognized in that parish during the novitiate was both the cultural experience of members who were also novices or in our first year of our exploring being a member of the order, and then the people of the parish, and thought, what about, I projected ahead. There I was in the early to mid 90s, and thought, if I don't try to figure out Spanish, I might be not a service to the community of simply population numbers of the Midwest in my outreach. And so I dug in. Every summer they allowed me to go to Mexico and Latin America to brush up on Spanish, learn cultural roots of the community, and the rest is kind of history, because my first assignment was St. Pius, where I was for 13 years.
Oh, sure.
Well, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with Father Brendan Curran with the Resurrection Project, and maybe we could delve a little bit into the hands-on ministry of the Resurrection Project, particularly the street masses, which seem to be an evangelical tool for you in terms of reaching the folks. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off, and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
We're back. Catholic Chicago with Father Brendan Curran of the Resurrection Project. Before the break, we were chatting about the ministry and very curiously, the street masses. How did that start and where are they now? How do people connect with them?
So, of evangelization on the west side of Pilsen and Little Village was a founding idea of pastors, especially in the 1980s, was the idea of gathering in homes during the fall and spring in what we would call comunidades de base, small faith collection groups, talking about where the gospel and your reality intersect and how to put your faith in action, resolving simple and sometimes prominent problems on their blocks. This went on since the 80s. And at every summer, they would do a block celebrating that group in their block. Literally, blocking off the street, those Chicago block parties, very renowned. But street masses are with a block party with the twist. Start the block party with a street mass. Get a folding table out there, make your altar, bring out the flowers from one of the houses, get some reading, get some ministers, folding chairs, and the rest is history. A mass on the street to celebrate the movement of that block during the year. Over these recent times, Resurrection Project was an accompanier of these groups from a distance and also directly involved over the last 20 plus years. My outreach with the street masses is continuing to see where possible small street block groups, we call them block clubs in the civic space, we call them comunidades de base in the faith space, can intersect on a diverse block in neighborhoods that are evolving ethnically and culturally like Pilsen. And it's been a remarkable encounter of neighbors and a revival that we're probing today. So this summer, 11 blocks, combination of from St. Procopius Parish and St. Pius, exploring that effort, but also in Little Village. The 3 parish groups have been doing street masses each summer with effectiveness and impact all through Little Village. There's some 45 events that went on between Little Village and Pilsen, either a street mass or a procession. Every pastor and parish has a different flavor in order to keep the life of the church on the very basic block alive, well, but also be attentive to civic matters, solutions as faith leaders.
Beautiful.
That's what a street mass is all about. Not one-off ritual, but an opportunity to use the tool of ritual, of gathering neighbors, and some find it rather novel, especially the newcomers on each block. They're curious and they're wondering, what are we doing out there on their own block? And we find it to be an intriguing mix of those who've been on the block for 20 to 40 years and those who, one of our blocks, the same day of one of the neighbors moving into our apartment was the day of a street. Every year, We have a bunch of stories.
Now, Brendan, let me ask you this question. How has the street masses touched your life?
I find it to be the highlight of my year. I tell everyone that I actually experience it that way, despite the rain threat or the heat this summer, because it is a chance to meet block by block neighbors from apartments or new flipped condos. Who are you? And how do we connect neighbors to sometimes for the first time to meet each other? I talked to one of the neighbors on one of the blocks on 17th Street in Pilsen this summer, and he said, you know, Father, a longtime leader of Resurrection Project and these faith communities and street masses, said to me, it's tragic that I've lost my edge. Just a week ago, I said hi to my neighbor who I didn't realize lived in an apartment on my block for 13 years.
Wow.
On the day he moved out. He said, I'm thank you in our group because we're trying to make this intentional to build relationships on our block. So that's why I do it, to see people make connections between what they pray about in church on Sunday and what they live out, not just within the family, which is always a great and mission, but also around them physically where they actually live block by block.
Now, I have two questions related to that. The first is, I'm just intrigued with your thought processes. What was your major in college?
What was my major in school?
In college, yeah. I'm just curious.
I graduated from Providence College in Providence, Rhode Island, with a bachelor's in political science.
Oh,
Interesting.
Interesting.
In political science.
No,
I like that.
The second question related to that is much more practical. This is a wonderful ministry. How is it funded?
It is funded through the generosity of donors to the Resurrection Project. And every block, what we do is commit a choir to the block and take up a collection to pay for the ministers of music so that we have quality liturgy each time we do a street mass. It's pretty amazing. It self-funds some of the expenses, and I'm the person funded by the Resurrection Project to continue the work.
Now, Brendan, if somebody wanted to make a gift contribution to the Resurrection Project, they think the work you're doing is so fantastic, where and how do they make a donation?
If people wish to make a donation, we'd be very grateful to you. Just simply go to our website, resurrectionproject.org, and you can go ahead and make a contribution. We'd be very grateful, especially on this anniversary year, because I have the privilege to witness how people put their faith in action in a very unique and I think creative and important way of being church, in putting our parish life into action on the streets.
So they go to resurrectionproject.org and there's a place to make a donation. They can click right on.
That's right.
Okay.
And what are some of your real urgent needs that need to be funded?
Some of the urgent needs that we need to fund right now, first of all, I do community organizing across pastors in the community, and it is an unfunded, funded position. So we desperately need help for folks like myself to do this outreach, especially as a priest and minister of the church, to help connect our parish ministries to our different community-based organizations right on the neighborhood space where we are. So it's a desperate area of need in terms of one of the outreaches for Resurrection Project. So we'd be very grateful for you, if not for the organization making a priority, that this remains a prominent reason we started the organization 35 years ago. We're seeking grants today to try to underwrite my outreach work, to continue it and make it grow through our neighborhoods on the west side of Chicago.
Beautiful.
And maybe, Brendan, one priest to another, in the work that you do in that community, what energizes you and what frustrates you?
I think, well, a couple of things. One is, I believe the experience of being able to hear people talk about problems as we set up folding chairs for the street mass, as we meet and greet a neighbor or put some problems in the solution, like the street lights have been out for 3 weeks. Let's call the city and they will resolve them. Those motivate me. The challenges and struggles, as they are common to many, is that we often don't believe, as people of faith, that we can make a difference. One of my challenges is to continue to keep the energy of motivation with folks who are belonging to our parishes on these blocks, to see in them their leader, to see in themselves they can make a difference and resolve problems as leaders. They don't see themselves that way.
Now, one of our favorite restaurants, our family, our two youngest daughters are adopted from Mexico, and one of our Consuelo's favorite restaurants is Nuevo Leon. We went before it burned down, then the new one. But Pilsen is regentrified. It's almost like this is a great evangelization tool for a younger population moving into the area. How did those populations merge together?
Well, this year we're doing a new effort, experimenting more formally with this. So after every Mass, the end of Mass, we're good Catholics with announcements after communion. At the end of each Mass, we make an announcement, distribute flyers to invite our neighbors to come to a block meeting. And we gather a month later, and it's a very simple process. We ask everyone, what is the most prominent problem we have on the block? That's something everyone can contribute to. Newcomers, last year, or months, or folks have been on the block for 5 years. It's a great neutralizer that we're experimenting with. So from 11 street masses in Pilsen, just Pilsen alone, there's some 30 events that happen in Little Village. I don't want to dissipate some amazing outreach in Little Village, but just take Pilsen, for example. From 11 street masses this summer, we've already created 6 groups that are now block clubs or small communities, just in that short time, and we have 5 more to go. So by the end of September, God willing, please pray for us. We want to create over 10 block club cells of our efforts by the end of September.
And before we close, Brendan, just speak briefly about the interfaith work being done.
I'm proud to be a part of a group that is called Faith Table, faithtable.org. It is an effort on behalf of the Resurrection Project, which I'm a proud leader of coordinating, trying to have pastors, ministers across our faith communities on Chicago's west side, from Lawndale to back of the yards, to sit down together and build relationships, one with each other. We don't know each other. We have Methodists, we have Assemblies of God, we have Catholics, New Life Centers, a number of different non-denominational Christian pastors and faith leaders who don't know each other, dealing with the same problems, which were the origin of the project 35 years ago. We're just building relationship at this stage. We hope to do common projects together more intentionally from that. But first, if we don't have a relationship, we ain't going nowhere. So it's a really privileged space for us, where we're about who we are, letting go of a lot of the myths that we have of each other. And it's been a wonderful place for me to witness each other connect a little bit for the first time.
It's very fascinating that both the street masses, interfaith work, it's all about relationship building, people getting to know each other, trust each other, break down some of the myths, the falsities. So I want to thank you very much. But before we close, again, for someone to make a donation, go to resurrectionproject.org, click on the donation. You're doing great work. Father Brendan Curran, I want to thank you very much for being a guest here today on Catholic Chicago. And Father Curran is very heavily involved with the Resurrection Project in Chicago. Keep up the great work, Brendan. And if you have anything new happening in the near future, be back on the program again. I want to thank in a very special way co-host Mark Teresi. Mark, always great to be with you.
Wonderful
And
work, wonderful
It's
work.
hard to believe that we are now moving toward the end of summer. The Cubs are still alive and well
Exactly.
as of this taping. The Bears football starts in a couple of weeks against the Vikings, and White Sox, well, there's always next
And
year.
you won't be depressed about the Bears till about November.
Maybe October. Well, but hope we're wrong this year.
Yeah.
And special work, great work to our producer engineer, Michael May. To our listeners, may God bless all of you, and continued summer blessings.